In progress.
So once again, sorry for that. I hope I'm audible enough. So I want to welcome you to today's webinar. My name is Victor Odari. And normally before we start our webinar, we usually inform people of the events that we are going to have. And this year we have the IUMRS meeting that will take place in December. I have not managed to get the flyer for it for now, but I will show it by the end of this meeting. But another meeting that we shall have next year is MRS 2026 here in Nairobi, Kenya. And we are going to have a number of themes to discuss, which are listed here. One is the biomaterials and materials for health, which is in line with today's webinar. And we have materials for agriculture, materials for energy, materials for construction, nanotechnology, materials for environment, water and sanitation, materials in mining and mineral processing. We have advanced materials. We shall also have discussions on materials and structures. And another key one is artificial intelligence, which is currently the discussion everywhere. And we shall also have special sessions, like one is for AMRS, EMRS. We shall have a special session on African light source and many others that we are organizing. So today, we have our presenter. Well, I hope you can hear me. I'm having a little bit of a challenge this side. Samuel?
There's no audio from the
I'm
presenter.
hearing you.
Yes, I'm
Someone-
hearing you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Great. So I don't know who of our seniors are here who will introduce our speaker today. Let me just check. Okay, so let me invite Samuel to kindly introduce our speaker for today. Samuel, please, if you don't mind.
Good morning, colleagues, and good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. It is my great pleasure to introduce Professor Teck. So I think we shared this bio, and I will not go there, but I think what I just want to share with you is the I think the importance of interacting globally. Because we met with Professor Teck at the ICMED conference in Singapore earlier this year, where he gave a wonderful talk. There's a panel that I think him with a group of other people, they were talking about the future. They were talking about how you can look at, in particular for us, things like material science, things like AI, how they can be able to shape the future developments. So I think I found that to be very interesting, and I'm very grateful that he agreed to give a talk, because I think such interactions help with the opening up our thinking as we move forward. So I think with those few words, it is with great pleasure that I would like to welcome Professor Teck to share with us what I know is going to be mind-blowing. Thank you very much. Over to you, Prof.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Samuel. We did meet in Singapore, and also very honored to be invited by you to present this to the African MRS. I must say I've not actually been to Africa, although I've many times I was wanted to do that. Hopefully one day I will be able to visit your country in Africa. But today I'm going to share with you this interesting topic about AI-enabled wearable technologies and also Metaverse and how that can advance healthcare. Before that, I wanted to show you where Singapore is. So I'm not sure you know where Singapore is, because it's such a very tiny country. As you can see from here, Africa is very, very big. But if you look at Singapore, we are actually located over here. It's a very country. It's about maybe 700 over square kilometers, but it's 1 degree north of the equator. And we are, the country, we have about 6.1 million people.
6.1 million.
6.1 million, yeah. 6.1 million people, very small country, small number of people. But the country itself actually is also very vibrant. We have one of the highest GDP per capita in the world. And the people have also very long life expectancy. In fact, Singapore has very much focused on the health and well-being of the people because it's such a small country. We don't have any natural resources. So our greatest asset is our people. And that's why we want to make sure our people lead a healthy life and ensure the well-being of the people. Because if the people are happy and healthy, then we can be productive and we can build a strong country. So we are really in the heart of Southeast Asia. If you go to Singapore, you can basically reach out within 6 to 7 hours to quite a large number of countries, including China, Japan, Korea, India. Things to explore. So let's get into the actual lecture. So I'm not sure whether you have seen this report from the World Economic Forum. They listed 10 emerging technologies of 2023. And there are three interesting there are actually 10 areas, but there are three that are of interest to us. One is generative AI. Second is Metaverse for mental health. And third is the AI facilitated healthcare. So for in these three areas is something actually our lab has been working on. And in particular, actually, if you look at wearable technology, and it has, since 2014, an article was published in Times Magazine, and they talk about wearable device that can never be offline. And the reason why, people, there are a lot of research done in developing materials to develop wearable technology. Basically, what happens is the wearable, they are developing these technologies for us to collect wearable data from the user, so that with this data, we can not only review a person's health, but also their health risk, and also how their health can be managed. In fact, in the area of wearable medical device market, if you look at the US market, is actually on increase in the use in terms of diagnostic devices and therapeutic devices. These are all wearable devices. So the compound annual growth rate is about 25.7%. So there'll be more and more people using wearable devices. And recently we wrote an article in Advanced Materials where we highlighted how wearable devices can transform healthcare. In fact, the way it works is this: we develop smart materials, and we use the very special function of smart materials to develop wearable devices. And these wearable devices can then help us to collect data from the user, and using machine learning, that can help us to not only perform things like preventive healthcare, but also monitor our lifestyle, or even enable personalized and smart and personalized medicine. So there is actually a lot of use of smart materials with the aim of developing such a very smart wearable sensors for use for healthcare. So the idea is this: with the wearable sensors, not only can we measure heart rate, motion, steps, blood pressure, ECG, but from here we can collect the data and then perform data analytics, and then use AI for us to predict and decide what the user should do. So it's wearable sensors to data analytics to AI. And the aim eventually is to see whether we can prevent diseases. If not, we try to go for early diagnosis or detection of diseases. But for patients who need to undergo treatment, we can also use the wearable devices to monitor treatment, to look at the effectiveness of treatment. So this is actually what we are trying to implement over here, using wearables to enable an intelligent healthcare ecosystem. So in my own lab, I've been doing a lot of research on mechanobiology, basically trying to understand how mechanical forces and so on can actually give rise to or the arise from diseases. For example, also the changes in mechanical properties of cells can also give rise to or arise from diseases. So in the when I first started my lab, I was working on malaria, where I try to look at how parasites enter into the red blood cell, making red blood cell to be very stiff and very sticky, and the process that can actually clog the capillaries of the patient, and that can lead to anemia. Later on, I work on cancer, but cancer works the other way around. Cancer causes some of the cells to be more deformable and less adhesive, so it's able to then be able to metastasize or spread from one organ to the other organ. But in this process of studying these different diseases, we not only have a better insight into the pathology of diseases, but as an engineer, we also make use of some of the research outcome to develop novel diagnostics and therapeutics. So we have actually 6 startup companies, and one of them actually IPO in 2018. So we are very focused not only on doing basic research, but also translation and commercialization. So these are all the different wearable technologies that we developed in our lab. I will not be covering all of them, but I will cover 3 technologies that were developed to give you a kind of understanding of what we are trying to do over here. So this will be the 3 different technologies that I will talk about. And some of these technologies, in fact, all 3 are being commercialized right now, being translated for use and being commercialized. So they are aiming towards disease monitoring, rehabilitation, and also healthcare training. So the first disease I want to talk about is diabetes, and our aim is towards zero amputation. So we know diabetes is actually quite a serious chronic disease. In fact, in the whole world, 1 in 11 adults have diabetes, and 1 in 2 adults with diabetes actually is undiagnosed. And in fact, in the whole world, 12% of the health expenditure is actually spent on diabetes alone. So that's $727 billion. So in Singapore, actually, diabetes is also very serious because in Singapore, we have one of the highest rates of people getting diabetes, partly because of the diet, but also because many of us we lead a very a sedentary life. That means we are physically not so active, and with not eating healthily. Many of our Singaporeans actually do get diabetes quite easily. So today, 1 in 3 age 65 and above has diabetes. and we have 1 in 3 chance of getting diabetes. And with diabetes, there's a lot of complications, not only blindness, but also kidney failure, heart attack, stroke, and amputation. So what happens is this: if a patient has diabetes, they can also get a foot diabetic ulcer, as shown here. And because they also suffer nerve damage at their foot, so when they walk and they press against the ulcer, they can't feel pain at all. So because they don't feel any pain when they walk, they keep stepping on the ulcer, and if they don't take care of the ulcer, the foot becomes infected, and then they have to undergo amputation. And again, Singapore has one of the world's highest amputation rate, and the mortality rate within 2 years is actually 50%. So this is quite serious, and that's why in our lab we are trying to see if we can try to avoid amputation. In fact, one of the easiest way to treat this is to minimize or lower the pressure that's acting on the ulcer itself. So we developed a smart insole, as shown here, where we added sensors in the form, we use actually pressure sensors in the insole, and these pressure sensors can actually sense the pressure that's acting on the ulcer. So if the pressure is too high, then we can use Bluetooth to transfer the data to the cell phone, so that the user, although they may not feel any pain when they step on the ulcer because of nerve damage, but on the cell phone they can see that their pressure is high and they need to change their walking pattern so that they can lower the pressure that's acting on the ulcer. So this is a movie showing one of my students wearing the smart insole, and then on the smartphone itself, we can actually track the pressure. So if you look at on the left, different colors, they denote different locations underneath the foot, but we can actually be able to track the pressure, whether the user is standing, walking, or sitting. So this is the smart insole that we have. We make use of these sensors to track the pressure. So we started a company called FlexoSense to commercialize this. And basically, the idea is to have the smart insole enable us to have not only accurate measurement of insole pressure for better ulcer management and prevention, but we also let the patient wear this back, so that even if they don't feel the pain, they can see their pain via the smart device. And there's also clear instruction to them as to what to do. And the data collected will be uploaded to the cloud. And then we'll use AI to generate a report, and that report can then be sent to the doctor. And then the doctor will then be able to see if the patient has been taking care of the ulcer. If not, the patient can call or the doctor can call the patient back for further consultation. So this movie shows a actual patient walking and wearing the smart insole, and this is the app on the cell phone, being able to track the pressure. And if the pressure is too high, we'll alert the patient. Pressure is too high, we'll tell them clear instructions that first take a seat, adjust their shoe tightness, and before they start walking again. So this is one good use of this pressure sensor. In fact, we in the process, we actually won quite a number of awards during that time, including the IDTEX Launchpad and in Berlin. We were one of the winners there. And also National Geographic actually highlighted our technology as well. So this is the smart insole that we have developed and that we have commercialized. So the second technology involves a very simple microtubular sensor, as shown here. And the idea is that we wanted, during that time, we were creating microtubes like this. And the tube has, the tube diameter is as small as 10 microns to a few hundred microns. So at the time, we were creating such a tube for us to do microfluidics. But when we flow liquid metal inside, here we use eutectic gallium indium, the whole tube becomes conductive. So when you fill it with liquid metal and we apply a current, the whole tube becomes very conductive. So with that, the whole this microfluidic tubular sensor became a a stretchable sensor. So you can see from here also that it's so small that it can pass through the eye of a needle. So this is a movie showing this microtube with a liquid metal inside. And so it is very, very elastic. We can stretch it. But when we, for example, for this case, when we press it or when we stretch it, we can actually quantitative measure the amount of force that we are pressing or that we are stretching. So it's actually a very stretchable, very sensitive stretchable sensor. In fact, when we weave it into a fabric and we stretch it, we are able to even measure the stretching force. So with this, we found that there's actually multiple applications, not only for rehabilitations, but also measuring vital signs monitoring, even measuring respiration, pulse, and so on. Let me show you 3 examples. The first is rehabilitation, where we mounted a sensor onto the knee. And when we start to bend, just with one sensor, we can actually measure not only the bending, amount of bending, but also the number of bending that the patient is doing, and also the speed as well. So this can be used as a sensor for rehabilitation. And although it's wired, we can actually make it wireless. The second is when we put the sensor onto the wrist, we were able to actually measure the pulse shape. So this not only enable us to measure the heart rate, but also the pulse shape, which is actually very important for us to detect whether the patient has stiffening artery or blood vessel. So that's one way to detect cardiovascular diseases as well that patient may have. So the last one actually is a wristband that we have created to enable gym goers to track their exercises. So we actually have a sensor that is mounted onto the smart band, and then the smart band is mounted on the muscle. So when we are exercising, we can actually use a cell phone to collect the data and track how well the gym user is performing. So we can gym goers can actually use this on a regular basis to track their exercises. So this is also a commercial product right now. So I'm not sure whether you have seen this movie by Tom Cruise where he used a smart glove to call out information on the computer screen. So this particular glove they have, we also developed what we call a smart infinity glove. So in this glove, we weave our microtubular sensor onto the glove itself. And then with this glove, we can actually perform many tasks. For example, we can use this to play games and so on. So basically with this glove, for example, we can, by just bending on the finger, we can elicit signal or enable certain functions or operate or activate certain functions on the computer or on the smart device like a smartphone. So the idea is to use this either for gaming, new gaming experiences, or to enable accurate motion tracking, especially doing tele-rehabilitation, where patients may need to do finger exercises, so they can actually use this to track their rehab exercises. So this is one use of the glove, which is to play games. So this is myself using the glove to play shooting games. And although I'm not a gamer, but when I put on this glove, it was very easy for me to use and play games. So there are also other uses. For example, we can use it for human-machine interaction, use it for virtual reality training, or even use a glove like this to control, for example, robotic fingers. So this is another interesting use of this glove. So with this, we can there are actually a number of uses. For example, we can use this to dispose bombs in the army. So let's say in a bomb disposal unit, right now they are using grippers, but with robotic fingers, they have a dexterity of fingers, so it's much easier to, for example, to pick up wires and to dispose bomb. The other area is in the use of such robotic hand in a highly radioactive environment. So again, humans may not be able to go to a highly radioactive environment, but if they can, a robot with such hands or fingers then they can control remotely the tasks they need to use in a highly radioactive environment. So the last one I want to talk about actually is with regard to a haptic glove as shown here. And this actually relates to a health metaverse that we are trying to create. So in this health metaverse, I had this idea of health metaverse actually before COVID. And when COVID happens, I realized actually this health metaverse could be very useful because our idea is to enable patients to have access to healthcare in the health metaverse. So, so there's a question, right? Who invented the word metaverse? Whenever I ask this question, many of the people who attended my talk will mention, for example, the company Meta. But Meta, the company Meta of Facebook is not the first person to use the word metaverse. In fact, metaverse is the word that was first used in this book that was published in 1992. In fact, in 1992, they not only talk about metaverse, in this book, they also talk about cryptocurrency as well. So this book really is ahead of its time. And in this book, it talks about a dystopian society where people are afraid to go out to, to interact or to do business. So they actually engage with each other in a metaverse world. So this is where the word metaverse comes from. So what we're trying to do here is to develop a sustainable health metaverse, because if we can have access to healthcare at home through the metaverse, not only can it make healthcare more efficient, but also cost effective and also sustainable. Because if patients can have access to healthcare at home and making it more accessible, then that will reduce the number of hospital visits. And because fewer people go to the hospital, it will reduce physical infrastructure and also eventually reduce environmental impact, because less people go to the hospital, they use less transportation. So in the whole, it's a very sustainable health environment. So I'm not sure whether you also have watched this movie called Ready Player One. So it's about this guy who put on the VR headset and then go into the health metaverse. And in the health metaverse, they are able to interact with each other. So for example, there's this girl who touched him, he can actually feel it. So even in the health metaverse, that they can actually feel the sense of touch. And this is what we are trying to make or to enable in the health metaverse. So in a virtual reality world, basically there are two hardware that we need. One is a VR headset that gives us the visual and audio information, and then one is a controller which enable us to use the controller to interact with virtual objects. However, the sense of touch is missing because in this case, the user is not able to use the hand or fingers to touch a object. They can only use a controller. So sense of touch is missing, and in order to enable the sense of touch, we need two sensations. One is called cutaneous sensation. So cutaneous sensation involves mechanoreceptors on the skin. So we use our skin to feel whether a surface is smooth or rough, whether there's vibration or skin deformation and so on. Then the second is kinesthetic sensation, where it involves mechanoreceptors in muscles and tendons and joints. So for example, if you hold an object, you can feel that if you're touching the object, you can feel it. And because you're holding an object, your joint cannot bend any further. So the both sensation gives you the feeling that you are holding an object. So the hardware that we develop must enable us to have both cutaneous sensation and kinesthetic sensation. So to enable that, we developed this glove that not only enable us to have the sense of touch, not only to enable cutaneous, but also kinesthetic sensation. So this glove enable us to have this sense of touch, like touching virtual objects like a patient and so on. So there are many different VR scenarios that we can enable using this glove. For example, we can enable the pressing of a button. we can make the button very stiff or very smooth to like to touch. Or we can press a ball. For example, this ball is very soft, it's about 10 kilopascal. Then another ball is stiffer at 40 kilopascal. And you can feel the difference between a soft and a rigid ball. We can also use the glove to play games like piece 3D puzzles together. We can also hold a beating heart and feel the beating heart. We can feel raindrops hitting on our fingertip. We can also press a balloon and then sense the bursting of the balloon as well. Or we can even engage in archery, where we can shoot an arrow on the target, for example, shooting a balloon and so on. But of course, over here, we're trying to create this health metaverse that not only enable us to have engaged in health and fitness, but also be able to enable medical training, perform medical telemedicine and consult, and also nursing training, psychotherapy, and so on. So first, I will introduce one use of the metaverse, which is for medical training. So in medical training, we need to train students how to do palpation. And palpation involves the use of fingers and hands to do a physical examination. So through the fingers and hands, we can feel whether a person's organ has, for example, the liver has stiffened, or whether there's a presence of any tumor in the body. So right now, the way we do it is through practicing on an actual patient. So this is very intrusive for the patient. However, we can also use dummy, but dummy patient is expensive and also very hard to reconfigure the gender, the age, and the symptom. So what we did was using ChatGPT, we created a patient avatar. And in this patient, it can be a child, adult, or someone elderly, and it's ChatGPT driven. So when the students put on the VR headset, they can see the patient, and when they put on the glove, they can start to do palpation on the patient. So first, we'll use the AI to train the user how to do palpation.
Hi, John. How are you feeling today?
And then we will start to practice. So if you look at this particular patient here, it's a patient where we put a tumor at the upper right abdomen. And so we asked the patient, how are you?
Hey doc, I'm a bit worried about my health. I've been feeling tired and have been experiencing some discomfort in my abdomen.
So that's the response.
Can you tell me more about your pain?
Yeah, doc, it's been bothering me for a while now. It's a constant pain in my upper right abdomen.
I'm going to check on your abdominal area. Let me know if you feel any pain.
Go for it, doc. I'll let you know if anything feels off.
So we start to do palpate the patient. We press the abdomen.
Do you feel any pain here?
And we can feel whether it's soft or
No,
hard.
doc, I don't feel any pain there.
So this is where the tumor is, and we can feel it stiff.
I'm feeling some discomfort there.
So in this patient, when we press the area where there's tumor, we feel it's stiff, and then the patient will respond that he feels some discomfort. So this is one way to train the user or the students how to do palpation, and then we can test them to see if they can do it correctly and be able to identify, for example, for this case, where the tumor is. So with this VR headset and also this glove, they can basically do this exercise anywhere, whether in school or at home or in a cafe as well. And the other area of application is actually rehabilitation. So we know that there are 2 billion, or 1/3 of the world's population will have health conditions that will benefit from rehab. And right now, there is actually lack of rehab healthcare professionals. So with the VR headset and the glove, they can actually do this at home. Physically, they do not need to have their device. They just need to go back home, and then once they put on the VR headset and the glove, they can start to do exercise like this. So we can design different exercise too, depending on what kind of injury the patient has. And in the glove, we have sensors that can actually monitor whether the patient is making recovery or improvement each week as they continue doing the exercises. So this is another good use of rehabilitation, because with this, patients do not need to go back to the hospital, but they can actually start using this at home and do the training. And the doctor, because the glove will collect data, so the doctor will know whether the patient is doing the exercises, and if they are doing the exercises, whether they are making improvements along the way. So, so the other area is in enabling not only the patient to see the organ, but also to touch it. So this is a MRI scan images of the heart, what we did of the patient's heart. So what we did was create a 3D model of the heart. First, we will let the patient feel the beating of a healthy heart. Then they will start to feel the beating of their own hypertensive heart. So in the hypertensive heart, actually, when they feel it, the beating is actually much more weaker than a healthy heart. So patients not only able to see their own heart, they can also feel it as well. And we are hoping that through this exercise, the patient will be able to adopt a healthier lifestyle, because when they look at their heart, they feel it, they can find that actually their heart is not doing too good. The other area is liver, where we did a CT scan of the liver and we created a 3D model of liver. So first we will let them press a healthy liver, which is more elastic, and then they will start to use the glove to press a fatty liver. So when they press it, it's actually much more stiffer compared to a healthy liver. So again, they can not only see their liver, but they can also be able to touch it and know that actually their liver is not doesn't feel as good or as soft as a healthy liver. That means the liver has started to harden, which is not very good news. And so again, we hope that they will also adopt a healthier lifestyle, maybe drink less, eat more healthily to restore their liver. We have also used VR to promote sports participation. And for this case, we were targeting overweight teenagers. And in this particular trial, what we tried to do is to enable the teenagers still to participate, the obese and teenagers to be able to participate in sports at home, because many of them face negative peer pressure or peer experiences, and they don't like to go out and exercise or participate sports with their friends. But at home, through VR, they can actually play table tennis or soccer. And what we have found is that through 8-week randomized control trial, there is actually saw some weight loss, improved fitness and well-being as well of the overweight teenagers. So this whole exercise do indicate that VR therapy is scalable, and we can also enable a very comprehensive therapy for obese teenagers. So this is another use of the VR, but for therapy for obesity. The last one is actually on health metaverse, where we enable the loved ones to be able to or the patients who are bedridden or immobile, where they cannot get out of the bed or out of the house, to still be able to interact with their loved ones. So for example, they may be in 2 different countries, but through the metaverse, they can still be able to interact, play games, and through the glove, be able to touch each other's hand as well. So they are able to do things like this, or even play 3D puzzles. So this is actually Singapore Chinatown, and we also wanted the patients to be able to go into, for example, Chinatown, and go into the shop and talk to the shopkeeper, which is ChatGPT driven, and then be able to interact and even use the glove to hold goods or products in the shop. So our glove now is able to be linked to different VR headsets, commercial headsets like MetaQuest, Microsoft HoloLens, HTC Vive Focus 3, ByteDance, Pico Pro, and even Vision Pro as well. So it's a plug and play type. And we now have this commercial product, we call it Hexar Glove, that is where we are working with companies to develop such a glove for their use. Because, for example, some companies want to use this to train their workers in a VR environment first before getting them to work in an actual environment. Or for example, we are also working with the airline companies to see how we can train pilots in a virtual cockpit. So with the gloves, they can flip buttons or press button or hold the steering wheel and so on. The idea is to train them first in a VR environment before they actually get trained in a flight simulator and then thereafter in the actual aircraft. And the whole process will be shortened because in the VR cockpit, they get familiarized with the whole control system. And then they also build muscle memory as they start flipping buttons, pressing buttons, and so on. So there are actually multiple use of this VR or this Hexar glove. So last year, we actually showcased this in the Consumer Electronics Show, CES, in Las Vegas. So CES is actually the largest consumable electronics show in the world. And so we got invited to actually showcase our glove. So at that time, there was this lady called Trisha. She's a YouTuber and a TV host. And she tried our glove and liked it so much. And she did a YouTube movie about this particular glove. So I'm going to let her kind of summarize and what our technologies is, this particular haptic glove is all about.
Right here, I am wearing the Hexar glove, and this is an untethered pneumatic haptic glove that works with virtual reality, augmented reality, extended reality that allows you to feel digital objects at the touch of your fingers. Think of it like this. You're in a virtual reality rainforest and you want to feel the raindrops on your fingers. It would be so cool, not just for gaming, but also if you think real world applications outside of that, like education and healthcare, maybe training surgeons to be of what it might feel like to be doing a specific procedure. The options are endless, and I love seeing futuristic type prototype tech like this at CES. For me, this is what CES is all about.
Okay, so that's her introducing our haptic glove. I felt she can explain my glove better than I do, so I let her kind of summarize and conclude what this haptic glove is all about. So we are also very fortunate to be also showcased in the media, and so we won a number of awards as well for this particular glove. So with that, I just before I end, I just want to conclude that in our lab we've been developing a number of wearable technologies, and the aim is to use such wearable sensing technology not only to acquire accurate but also reliable, relevant, and timely data. So using these sensors to develop to acquire this data, then we will perform the necessary data analytics, and then using AI for us to determine what are the actionable information that we can give to the users for them to act upon it. The whole idea eventually is to see how we can transform healthcare delivery, even accessibility and personalization. So I'll be asking actually what's next. I felt that the healthcare of the future will really be about prevention and not treatment. And already with I feel that wearable sensors I felt is also one transition, but moving ahead, if we can embed sensors in the things that we use every day, for example, in the bed, on our spectacles, or even in the toilet bowl or mirror or in the toothbrush, where we can constantly sample our biological data, then we can actually be able to keep track and monitor how well we're doing. For example, in this toilet seat, which was published in Nature Biomedical Engineering in 2020, the idea was to be able to track the stool. And they actually have 3 cameras, but it's a camera, it's a different type of camera where they can track the stool, look at the color, the shape, and to see whether there's any change, and they're using the data to determine if whether the person may be contracting certain diseases that may be related, for example, the bladder and so on, or even the stomach or the intestine. If we can have such a sensor or such data, then that will be useful for us to see if we can detect disease at the early stage. In fact, the urine and the stool that we pass out every day, this contains very useful and very important and biological data, but every day we are flushing our biological data away. So if we can have a way to detect this urine and stool and then determine any onset of diseases, that actually will be very useful and even life-saving. So with that, I just want to also say that, although I present many technologies and they are developed in my lab, it's not certainly a single lab, effort. It actually involves multi-party because we not only work with the clinicians, but also with the patients who have graciously contributed their samples to us. But we also work with industrialists, investors, even educators, and government and regulatory agencies. And so it's a multi-party and interdisciplinary effort. In working with clinicians, actually one senior clinician told me one day that a doctor can only treat one patient at a time, but a biomedical technology developed by an engineer can treat thousands of patients anywhere at any one time. I thought this is a very good encouragement to us biomedical engineers who are trying to develop technologies that can help to diagnose or treat patients, because this is really what we are trying to do, or this is what all our research effort that's put in is all about. So with that, I just want to acknowledge my students and postdocs who are the ones really working on these technologies in the lab, and also our collaborators from the hospitals and also companies that we work with, and also funding agencies. So before I end, again, I want to welcome you to Singapore and NUS. If you do come by, feel free to contact me, and if I'm around, I'll be happy to show you our country and also our university. So with that, thank you so much for your time, and I'll be happy to take questions.
Thank you so much, Professor Teck, for this exciting talk. We've actually learned a lot, and how you're using this technology to promote health sciences. I like the line of health metaverse. It's very exciting, where you are distance apart, but you can use a glove and you feel like you're next to your loved one. That is great. I know we have quite a number of questions. I can see Lawrence has raised his hand, but before I allow Lawrence, I'm just curious, why is Singapore having a very high rate of diabetes?
Yeah, so there are a few reasons. One is that because of diet, because many we are Asian, so one of the diets or one of the necessary staple is actually rice. We eat a lot of rice, and rice is actually very high in carbohydrate, especially refined rice, white rice. So the other thing is that Singapore is a multi-racial country. So we have Indians, Malay, Chinese. Indians have almost 50% chance of getting diabetes, partly genetic, but also because of diet. And Malay is second, and then so also we tend to lead a very inactive lifestyle, a sedentary lifestyle that also contributed to us getting diabetes.
Okay, thank you.
So that's why the government.
Lawrence, please go ahead.
Oh, I think go ahead and finish your last half sentence you were going to say.
Oh yeah, just want to say
This
that
is interesting.
Yeah, because of all this, that's why Singapore government decided to wage a war against diabetes about 7 years ago. They actually make a declaration of war against diabetes.
That's interesting. It's a big problem here in the United States, and a rising problem in Africa as well. More, to me, it's a byproduct of food processing. So
Yeah, that too. Yeah, highly processed food also is a contributor to actually all these diseases, including diabetes.
yeah, it's almost like the food industry is trying to kill us. So, but one interesting area of application of wearables, I think it's in maternal health. I think that a lot of maternal and fetal morbidity and mortality could be reduced if we could issue the mother a wearable to measure blood pressure and blood glucose.
Right. Yeah.
And in other contexts, like in an Apple Watch, which has the accelerometer in it, could look at other causes of maternal and fetal morbidity, which is could be domestic violence situations. So the accelerometer can tell if she's being battered. Could sort of send signals of other incidents that are happening. Have you thought about applying a wearable to the maternal health environment?
Yeah, so we haven't really looked into it, although just recently we have a colleague who came to us to see if we can develop femtech tech for by the by the female population. But you mentioned about glucose. We did recently develop a micro needle patch to detect glucose continue. So right now in the market, there's already Abbott, for example, they have a continuous glucose monitoring system, Dexcom as well. They can measure like 10 days to 14 days. Of course, they use quite a long filament that is injected into the skin, and the sensor is quite big and very stiff. So what we did was we developed a flexible patch with micro needles that can detect the interstitial fluid, and from there detect what the glucose level is. And we were actually doing it just for like 3 or 4 days because it was a request from the hospital in particular for use in the ICU unit. So in ICU unit, patients don't stay there for long. I mean, some of them will be for a few days and they wanted to detect the glucose. So that kind of sensors could also be used for pregnant women to measure the glucose. Yeah. A wearable device, there are others like you mentioned about Apple Watch or this. I do wear Apple Watch as well, so that can measure heart rate or this, but not blood pressure at the moment. Although there's a watch by Huawei, Huawei in China, they actually developed a watch that can measure blood pressure, and it has a very small airbag underneath in the watch strip, and when you press it, they actually expand and then measure the blood pressure directly from the pulse.
Yeah, like I said, that Apple phones can measure blood pressure now.
Oh, okay. I have an Apple phone, but I haven't really tried that.
Yeah.
Is there an app or something like that to measure the pressure?
I think it measures near surface temperature is what it's actually measuring, and from there infers blood pressure from the camera.
Oh, right. Yeah, I know there is a AirPod, the latest AirPod Pro 3 that can measure your heart rate. Yeah, from the ear.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we should. I'll contact you. This is an interesting area, and we should have some collaborations there.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Sure. Thanks.
That's the reason we are here, for collaborations. And George, you have a question?
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Citi, for your very interesting talk. I'm a physicist, but we've been working with a nutritionist who is interested in diabetes. And I have heard that diabetes type 2 can be controlled by diet. So have you guys given up on diet control? Because I think if it can be controlled by diet, why is that not also a major component of your research? It's fantastic that you have all these devices that can help with management, but what about diet control? In fact, the issue is the work also involved making an app on the phone that can then look at the carbohydrate content. This work was supported by compute credits from Amazon Web Services. Thank you.
Yeah. So you're quite right. One way to control diabetes is actually to diet. In fact, I myself, when we were developing the microneedle patch for glucose monitoring, which I mentioned just now, I actually tried the actual continuous glucose monitoring system or device. For example, I tried the Abbott and Dexcom. And whenever I take the food, in Singapore we have different types of dishes, right? So I tried And some dishes will spike my blood glucose, the glucose very high, some very low. And so I realized that if I have such a continuous glucose monitoring device, I can actually be able to track and then later on decide what are the food I should eat in order to keep the glucose under control. And in fact, when I change the sequence, for example, I eat vegetables and meat first before I eat rice, my glucose doesn't spike as much as compared to if I eat rice and then meat and then vegetables. Even the order of food is very different. So in a way, you're right that nutrition or diet will help us put our diabetes or type 2 under control. And I mean, we have the device there, so the people will have to use the device and help them do that. But many of the diabetic patients, when they see a doctor, the doctor will advise them, to eat certain food. But many of them don't really follow the doctor's advice. They just eat food that they like. That's why some of them, their diabetes just spiral out of control. But the other targeted group they're very interested in is pre-diabetes, because pre-diabetes is reversible. But not many people realize that they are pre-diabetic and they don't control their diet. So once they cross over to actually diabetes type 2, then it's too late. It's very hard to reverse or not reversible. So right now, at least in Singapore, we're also trying to target pre-diabetes, people at the pre-diabetic stage, because that is the stage where we can still reverse the diabetes.
Okay, thank you. Now, my last question is on social growth. And I've noted that you mentioned that when you're using the VR and headset, you can actually enable students you can promote sports through the VR and the glove. Now, don't you think that may negatively impact on the social growth of these children as they grow, because they are not socializing, they're just dealing with technology?
Yeah, you are referring to the obese, the obesity, is it the teenagers where they use VR to do exercises? Yeah, so we of course we certainly would want them to go out and socially interact with others. But I think at that time, because it's so hard to get them to go out, and yet we wanted them to exercise, so we thought we do this particular research to see if by enabling them to do exercise at home can help to improve their health conditions. But of course, after improving health conditions, we would actually want to encourage them to go out and also interact with the other people as well. So you're quite right. I mean, we want them to eventually, they as teenagers, they should go out and interact with other people. But one other use, which is for, as I mentioned, for bedridden patients who can't get out and so on, this will be the perfect, technology to use to interact with their loved ones, especially when they are in a different country. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. William, you have a question? William, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much, City Lab. I just want to find out the Teck. Is that part of your name?
Yes,
Teck.
Yeah, but it's TECK, not TECH.
But it's Teck. It's still pronounced Teck.
Oh yeah,
How is it pronounced?
Teck. Yeah, Teck.
Okay. Now, I want to thank you very, very much. I really enjoyed this webinar. Today's healthcare is gradually moving away from reactive medicine to proactive medicine. And those simulators, I enjoy those simulators. Are they in the market? Because I am in a clinical skill laboratory where we teach clinical simulations. And I have in my custody presently the Simman 3G. But I noticed what you have in NUS, that you have a modern one that is AI simulated, very interactive. Is it available in the market?
Some of them are not available in market because we develop for specific use in the hospital. So for example, I have another colleague who is working on using it in the operating theater, but it's right now just used within the hospital. So, but for us, because we are developing the haptic glove is something that we can actually start to commercialize, but we don't sell it to the customer. We want to first understand from the customer what their needs are, and then we will customize the glove for their specific use. So you cannot buy off the shelf, but you can contact our company, and our company will talk to you to understand what your needs are, and then we develop the metaverse, the glove for the use in the metaverse. For example, learning how to operate on patients or how to do rehabilitation. So that is what we are doing right now.
That's great. I think I'll get in touch with you. Then I am also interested in medical wearables, but for low income middle countries like us here in Nigeria, in the course of designing medical wearables, we have to source for materials in the open market, like using ESP32. I don't know how do you have your own customized electronic PLCs that you use?
Yeah, either we design ourselves, or most of the time we will engage the companies to do it for us. If it's not sensor, for example, if it's a PCB or controller, which can be easily made by someone by a company, we will engage them. So because I have quite a number of students from China, so they do know some of the companies in China that can help us, and it's certainly much cheaper for us to do in China as compared to be in Singapore. So we do know some contacts over there that can help us to develop all this like PCB and controller. But the sensor itself is developed by us in Singapore because that is the IP itself that we want to kind of protect if we want to commercialize.
Thank you very much. Please, so I'd like to be one of your mentees. Don't mind.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Teck. We really appreciate for this talk, this exciting talk. I'm sure we have all learned a lot. I'm sure we all want to engage with you and learn further. And I know members will try to reach you so that you can.
Sure, yeah. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Elaborate further. That's the throughout. Yes. So I want to thank you for that. And before we wind up, I just want to give one more communication. Allow me to share my screen. And colleagues, participants, we are having this LAMP call. LAMP stands for Light Sources for Africa, America, Asia, Middle East, and Pacific. I know the deadline is quite close, 31st October. But in this call, it tries to promote mobility of staff and students, where you can have a PhD student and a faculty member visit one of the synchrotrons for 2 months. It is supported by LAMP. It is one of the activities that LAMP does. So please check it out, and you never know, you may be able to apply within the short period that we are having. So kindly try it out. If check whether you're eligible and try it out. I hope one or two or many of us are going to benefit from it. Let me share the post. Let me share the link here in the public chat for those who may be interested. Great. So kindly check it out and apply. never know. I'm actually one of the beneficiaries of LAMP 2025, and I happen to visit the Advanced Light Source in Berkeley, so you can try it out as well. So once again, thank you so much, Mr. Teck, for this nice talk. And we look forward to have you in AMRS 2026, Nairobi, Kenya. We are ready to welcome you. Please, I'll send to you an invitation, and I hope you will accept. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, all of you.
Goodbye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.